Wow, that's a lot of hair. Jesus, I have a lot of hair. I have too much hair on my head. Through my childhood, I have seen really only one method in which children and death are portrayed hand in hand. And that being not the children's death, but how children themselves react to it. They're shown as recognizing its purpose, its graveness, how important it is, how final it is. They cry and they understand. But is that reality? When children are not scared of death, usually they are seen as evil or some extension of it, as being the bully of the story or misunderstood. I think Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has a good example of this. It's a bit of a weird scene, but when Joel, the main guy, goes back to being a child, goes back to his childhood memories, and it's actually a really nice scene. He's standing over a red wagon with a hammer, and he has all these kids around him egging him on to crush that bird's little head and kill him. And he does do it. In the moment he kills that little bird, all the children just stop. They don't keep egging him on. They don't cry. And they don't really react to it. And then the girl, who, it's kind of complicated, she pulls him away. And then they start teasing him. It's something as kids do. They're like, oh, you got a girlfriend, oh wow. Which is, yeah. And I don't know if the intention of that scene was to be realistic or to be just strange, to feel disconnected from reality. Because it's a very, very unique, very unique portrayal of children and their reactions to things that, when you get into adolescence, become very important. So yeah, sorry, I kind of forgot. Cool. I think I was saying that's a very unique portrayal of how children react to something like that. Because usually, often, what I've seen growing up through my whole childhood is that when a child encounters death, they recognize it and they cry to it because that's what an adult would do, But, I mean, have you ever actually seen that? Or experienced it? Because, I mean, I haven't. Through my own experience, mainly. And I'm not talking about middle school or high school here. I'm like elementary and before. Also, nice. I'm just, the existence of this, I don't know what it is, except a watchful eye, so that I don't try to cheat at this hardcore world, and I actually stick by the consequences that death has. So I kind of thought that would be a fitting first subject too. But the topics themselves and the discussion of them, it's all random. It's all just brain mush coming out for no reason. But anyways, I remember when my first cat died. It was the first death I had ever experienced. I don't know how old, maybe 6, 7, 8. I don't know. Probably not 8. Probably like 6 or 7. But I didn't cry. I didn't know what to feel. I just knew that, oh, okay. He's not here now. And I loved him. I knew what love was. I knew what it meant to love him. But beyond that, I didn't have the emotional capability or the experience to understand not even understand. I knew what death was. I knew that it was the end. That's it. No more. You know, I probably had seen some playthrough of that Dragon Cancer by that point. You know? But yeah, just because I had doesn't mean I knew how to emotionally react. The first time I cried because of that death was like 2 years later, maybe. I think it was 2 years later. And I was on a plane. And I heard the song Gary Come Home from SpongeBob. And I was like, well, that's sad as hell. He's not here. I miss him. I want to cry. Right? And maybe that's only a personal experience. But to me, that makes sense. You know, like I think a lot of the reaction of children's grief, and honestly grief in general, it's societal, right? I'm sure that's obvious. I'm sure that's an obvious thing to a lot of people, but I mean, if you just stuck a child in a room and told them about that someone died in their family, someone they knew, I don't think they would cry. Because if the person telling it didn't react at all, they didn't start crying, they didn't say it in a solemn tone, they said it in a totally neutral tone, then that child doesn't have any societal reaction to go off of. Yet, when we grow up, it becomes something natural. Like, I don't cry to death because that's what I should do. I cry because I'm sad about it. And that's if I am sad about that death. You know, if it's like a celebrity, I know some people cry to that, but I can't. I mean, I have a hard time crying too, but it's, for me, I'm like 90% sure it's not a societal reaction. It's a personal reaction from... Anyway, I'm rambling. Basically, I think the average child, the deepest thing they will most likely feel is just curiosity to death. And maybe I think it's an important distinction between maybe a parent's death and like a bird or something.